3 years of work. Hundreds of late nights. Every dollar I'd saved. Gone. Stolen by the one person I'd trusted completely. My brother. I sat in my apartment staring at my laptop screen. My hands were shaking. On the screen was an article from TechCrunch. Rising star entrepreneur secures $2 million in seed funding for revolutionary AI platform. The entrepreneur's name was Jason Mitchell. My younger brother. The revolutionary AI platform? My idea. My code. My business plan. Word for word, line for line, stolen from the presentation I'd shown him 6 months ago. I scrolled through the article. Read quotes from Jason about his vision and his innovation. Saw photos of him shaking hands with venture capitalists. Saw my entire future being celebrated as his achievement. My phone rang. Mom's number. I almost didn't answer. But some stupid part of me hoped she was calling to tell me she knew the truth. That she'd confronted Jason. That she was on my side. Emma, did you see the article? Your brother is on TechCrunch. Can you believe it? We're so proud. My stomach turned. Mom, that's my project. I showed it to Jason 6 months ago. He stole it. Silence. Then, Emma, don't be jealous. It's not a good look. Jason worked hard for this. You should be happy for him. I'm not jealous, Mom. I'm telling you he stole my work. I have emails. Documentation. Proof. Oh, Emma. Her voice was heavy with disappointment. Always so competitive with your brother. Always trying to take credit for his success. This is exactly why you've never gotten anywhere in life. I hung up before I said something I couldn't take back. My phone buzzed immediately. A text from Jason. Saw you called Mom. Don't try to ruin this for me. Nobody will believe you anyway. I'm the one with the funding. You're just a failed entrepreneur with nothing to show. I stared at that message for a long time. He was right about one thing. On paper, Jason was the successful one. Stanford graduate. 2 previous startups. Good connections in Silicon Valley. Meanwhile, I was a state school dropout who'd been trying to build something from nothing for 3 years. When I'd shown Jason my project 6 months ago, I'd been desperate. I needed advice. Needed someone to tell me if my idea was viable. Jason had a business degree and startup experience. He'd seemed like the perfect person to ask. He'd spent 2 hours reviewing my presentation. Asked detailed questions. Took notes. Told me the idea was interesting but needed refinement. Suggested I wasn't ready to pitch investors yet. That I should work on it more before going public. I'd trusted him. Believed him. Spent 6 more months perfecting the code, refining the business model, preparing to launch. While he'd taken everything I'd shown him and pitched it himself. And everyone believed him. Because Jason was charismatic. Connected. Credible. I was just his older sister who'd never quite lived up to her potential. I opened my laptop. Pulled up the folder where I'd stored everything. 3 years of documentation. Initial concept sketches from 2021. Code commits with timestamps. Email chains. Version histories. Everything that proved this project was mine. I'd started developing the AI platform after working at a tech company that treated customer service like an afterthought. I'd seen how AI chatbots failed customers constantly. How they couldn't understand context or emotion. How they frustrated people more than they helped. So I'd built something better. An AI system that learned from emotional cues. That adapted its responses based on user frustration levels. That actually solved problems instead of just deflecting them. It was elegant. Innovative. Genuinely useful. And it was mine. I pulled up Jason's TechCrunch article again. Read through his description of his platform. It was my system. Every feature. Every innovation. Every selling point. He'd even used some of my exact phrasing from my original pitch deck. I took screenshots. Started building a case. If Jason thought I'd just accept this, he didn't know me at all. The next morning, I called the venture capital firm that had funded Jason. Asked to speak to someone about the investment. Was transferred 3 times before reaching a junior associate. Hi, I'm calling about the Jason Mitchell investment. I have information you should be aware of regarding the origin of the technology. I'm sorry, who are you? Emma Mitchell, Jason's sister, and the actual creator of the AI platform he's claiming as his own. Long pause. Ma'am, these are serious accusations. Do you have evidence? Yes. 3 years worth. Code repositories, timestamped documents, email chains, everything. I can send it to you if you're interested in knowing you just invested $2 million in stolen intellectual property. Another pause. Send everything to this email address. Someone will review it. I sent the documentation within an hour. Every piece of evidence I had. Then I waited. 3 days passed. Nothing. I started to think they'd ignored me. That Jason had been right. That nobody would believe me. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. Is this Emma Mitchell? Yes. This is David Chen, partner at Meridian Ventures. We funded your brother's company. I've reviewed the materials you sent. We need to talk. In person. Can you come to our office tomorrow? My heart hammered. Yes. What time? 2 p.m. And Emma? Don't tell your brother about this call. Don't tell anyone. I barely slept that night. Ran through every possible scenario. Maybe they believed me. Maybe they were going to sue me for defamation. Maybe this was a trap. The next day, I took the train to their office in downtown San Francisco. Glass towers. Expensive suits. The world Jason had broken into with my work. David Chen met me in a conference room. He was in his 50s, sharp-eyed, wearing a suit that probably cost more than my rent. 2 other people sat with him. A woman who introduced herself as their legal counsel and another partner, Rebecca Torres. Thank you for coming, David said. We've reviewed your documentation thoroughly. Before we proceed, I need to ask you some technical questions. To verify you actually understand this technology. For the next hour, they grilled me. Asked me to explain the architecture, the algorithms, the decision trees, the edge cases, how I'd solved specific problems, why I'd made certain design choices. I answered everything. Easily. Because I'd built this system from the ground up. Every line of code, every decision, every innovation. David and Rebecca exchanged looks. The lawyer took notes. Finally, David leaned back. Your brother couldn't answer these questions when we asked him. He gave surface-level responses. Said he'd hired a development team to handle the technical details. We assumed he was a visionary who'd outsourced the execution. He outsourced it to me, I said. Without my permission. Rebecca spoke up. Emma, this is a significant problem. We invested based on Jason's pitch. If he doesn't own the IP, our investment is worthless. We could sue him. We could sue you for working with him. This is a mess. I didn't work with him, I said firmly. He stole from me. I have proof. I'm not the problem here. Jason is. The lawyer intervened. The documentation you provided is compelling. Email timestamps, code commits, version histories. It's clear you were developing this independently. But we need to understand something. What do you want? I'd thought about this. I want my project back. I want recognition that this is my work. And I want Jason held accountable for theft. David nodded slowly. What if we offered you something different? Different how? We made a $2 million investment in this technology. That investment is now in jeopardy because the person we funded doesn't actually own what he's building. But you do. So here's our proposition. You take over the company. Jason is out. We restructure the deal with you as founder and CEO. You get the funding, the resources, and the recognition. He gets nothing. I couldn't breathe. You do that. We invest in technology and people, Rebecca said. The technology is yours. And after this conversation, it's clear you're the person who actually understands it. Jason was just a good salesman selling someone else's product. But he's already spent some of the money. Set up operations. Hired people. We'll handle that, the lawyer said. We have clauses in our contract for situations involving fraud and misrepresentation. Jason will be removed immediately. The question is whether you're willing to step in. My mind raced. This was everything I'd wanted. The funding, the legitimacy, the chance to actually build my company. But it meant completely destroying Jason. Going to war with my family. Burning bridges that could never be rebuilt. I need time to think, I said. You have 24 hours, David replied. After that, we're pulling our funding and suing everyone involved to recover our investment. If we're going to salvage this, it needs to be fast and clean. I left that office in a daze. Walked through San Francisco without seeing anything. My phone buzzed constantly. Mom calling. Dad calling. Jason calling. I didn't answer. I went to a coffee shop and sat there for 3 hours trying to think. Finally, I called the one person whose opinion I trusted. My best friend Rachel. She'd been there through everything. Every late-night coding session. Every moment of doubt. Every time my family had dismissed my dreams. They want to give you the company? Rachel said, disbelief in her voice. Emma, this is incredible. It means destroying Jason. He'll lose everything. The funding. His reputation. His startup. He destroyed you first, Rachel said firmly. He stole your work. He let your family believe you were jealous. He sent you that text saying nobody would believe you. Emma, he chose this. Not you. But he's my brother. He stopped being your brother when he stole 3 years of your life and claimed it as his own. Real family doesn't do that. Real family supports you. Believes in you. Celebrates your success instead of stealing it. She was right. I knew she was right. But it still hurt. That night, I didn't sleep. I pulled up all my old files. Looked at the early versions of my project. Remembered the excitement I'd felt when the code first worked. The hope I'd had that this could be something real. Something that mattered. Jason had taken that hope and made it his. Had let me suffer in obscurity while he basked in recognition for my work. And when I'd called him out, he'd mocked me. Told me nobody would believe me. Used his credibility to erase mine. I made my decision. The next morning, I called David Chin. I'm in. Let's do this. Smart choice. Come to our office at 2. We'll have papers ready. And Emma? Prepare yourself. When we remove Jason, he's going to know you were involved. This will get ugly. I know. But I was ready for ugly. I'd spent 3 years being invisible. Being dismissed. Being told I wasn't good enough. I was done accepting that narrative. At 2 p.m., I signed papers making me the founder and CEO of what had been Jason's company. Meridian Ventures released a statement that afternoon. Due to irregularities in intellectual property ownership, Jason Mitchell was being removed. Emma Mitchell, the actual creator of the technology, was taking over. My phone exploded. 50 calls in an hour. Mom, Dad, aunts, uncles, cousins. Everyone demanding to know what I'd done. How I could betray family like this. How I could destroy my brother's dream. I answered none of them. Then Jason showed up at my apartment, pounding on the door, screaming, "You destroyed me. You vindictive bitch. I gave you feedback on your project and this is how you repay me." I opened the door, looked at him calmly. "You didn't give me feedback. You stole my work. Word for word. Code for code. You committed fraud, Jason." I just told the truth. Nobody cares about the truth. They care about who tells the story first. I had funding. I had credibility. You were nothing. I was the person who actually built what you were selling, I said. And now everyone knows it. Mom and Dad will never forgive you. If they choose you over the truth, that says everything about them. Jason's face was red. Veins bulging. "I'll sue you. I'll tell everyone you're lying. I'll destroy your reputation." "Try it," I said calmly. "I have 3 years of documentation. You have lies. Good luck." He stared at me with pure hatred. Then he left, screaming threats all the way down the hallway. The next week was chaos. My parents called demanding a family meeting. I refused. They showed up at my apartment. I didn't let them in. They sent relatives to guilt-trip me. I blocked numbers. Mom sent a long email about how family comes first, about how I'd always been jealous of Jason, about how this was proof I'd never matured past childhood sibling rivalry, about how I'd destroyed my brother's life out of spite. I wrote back one sentence: he stole 3 years of my work. Ask him why he did that. She didn't respond. Meanwhile, I threw myself into actually building the company that should have been mine from the start. Meridian Ventures connected me with developers, office space, resources, everything I'd needed but couldn't afford. Within a month, we had a working beta. Within 2 months, we had pilot customers. Within 3 months, major companies were interested in licensing the technology. Tech publications started covering the story. Sister reclaims stolen startup from brother who committed IP fraud. Founder fights back after family member steals company. The narrative shifted. I wasn't the jealous sister anymore. I was the wronged creator who'd fought for justice. Jason tried to start his own competing company. Nobody would fund him. His reputation was destroyed. The brother who'd always been golden, always been successful, was suddenly unemployable. Toxic. I felt a twinge of guilt. But then I remembered his text. Nobody will believe you anyway. I remembered Mom's voice. Always so competitive with your brother. I remembered 3 years of work he'd tried to erase. The guilt disappeared. 6 months after taking over the company, we closed a series of funding round. $8 million. With it came more press, more recognition, more validation that what I'd built mattered. That's when Jason called. First time I'd heard from him in months. Emma, please. I'm sorry. You were right. I was wrong. I stole from you and it was unforgivable. But I'm broke. I can't find work. I'm about to lose my apartment. Please. Can we talk? Part of me wanted to hang up. Part of me wanted to gloat. But mostly I just felt tired. What do you want, Jason? I want to apologize. Really apologize. Not because I want something, but because you deserve it. What I did was horrible. Criminal. Betrayal of the worst kind. I destroyed your trust, your work, your relationship with our family. And I'm sorry. His voice cracked. Real emotion there. Maybe genuine. Maybe just desperation. I don't forgive you, I said. Not yet. Maybe not ever. What you did can't be fixed with an apology. I know. But I needed you to hear it anyway. You deserved better. You deserved support. Instead, I saw an opportunity and I took it. I thought I could get away with it because I always get away with things. Because I'm the golden child and you're the afterthought. The family disappointment I supplied. Yeah, and I leveraged that. Used everyone's low expectations of you to make them believe my lies. That's unforgivable. I know that. We sat in silence. Finally, I asked, what do you want from this call? Nothing. Honestly. Just wanted you to know I'm sorry. And that watching you succeed with the company has been educational. I never built anything real. Everything I had was handed to me. But you? You created something from nothing. And even when I stole it, you fought back and won. That's real strength. Goodbye, Jason. Wait. One more thing. Mom and Dad. They're starting to understand what really happened. It's taking time, but they're asking questions. Looking at your documentation. Realizing I lied. You might hear from them. If I do, I'll decide then whether to respond. Fair enough. Goodbye, Emma. And good luck. With the company. You're going to do amazing things. He hung up. I sat there feeling strange. Not vindicated. Not triumphant. Just tired. A week later, Mom called. I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick up. Emma. Her voice was small. Broken. I reviewed the documents you sent. All of them. The timestamps. The emails. Everything. You were telling the truth. Jason stole from you. And I called you jealous. I dismissed you. I chose him without even investigating. I'm so sorry. You are, I said. Not a question. A statement. I know sorry isn't enough. I know I failed you as a mother. I should have believed you. Should have investigated before taking his side. Should have seen the pattern of always favoring him. But I was blind. And you paid the price. Yes, I did. Is there any chance you can forgive me? That we can rebuild? I thought about it. Thought about all the times she'd dismissed my achievements. All the times she'd compared me to Jason and found me lacking. All the times she'd chosen him. I don't know, Mom. You hurt me. Deeply. And it wasn't just about this one thing. It was years of making me feel less than. Years of treating Jason like he walked on water while I was just there. You're right. I did that. I favored him. Made excuses for him. And I destroyed my relationship with my daughter in the process. If you never forgive me, I understand. I deserve that. Her honesty surprised me. I'm not ready to forgive yet. But maybe someday we can try to rebuild something. Not what we had, but something new. Something honest. That's more than I deserve. Thank you. We hung up. I felt lighter somehow. Not healed. But like maybe healing was possible. Eventually. A year after taking over the company, we were acquired by a major tech firm. $50 million. I walked away with enough money to never worry again. And more importantly, with validation that what I'd built mattered. That I mattered. The acquisition made headlines. Founder who reclaimed stolen startup exits for $50 million. Journalists wanted interviews. Conferences wanted me to speak. Suddenly, everyone wanted to know my story. I told it. Honestly. Every detail. The theft. The betrayal. The family dynamics. The fight to reclaim what was mine. The victory. People responded. Other founders reached out saying they'd experienced similar betrayals. Students told me my story inspired them to keep building despite setbacks. Women in tech said seeing me fight back gave them courage to stand up for themselves. I became more than just a successful founder. I became a symbol of resilience, of fighting for yourself, of refusing to accept theft and betrayal just because it comes from family. 2 years after everything started, Jason and I had coffee. First time we'd seen each other since the day he'd screamed at me in the hallway. He looked different. Humbler. Older. I'm working at a startup now, he said. Junior level. Learning to actually build things instead of just pitching them. It's humbling. But good. I'm glad you're figuring it out. I'll never forgive myself for what I did to you. But I'm trying to be better. To actually earn success instead of stealing it. That's all any of us can do. Be better. We parted cordially. Not as close siblings. But not as enemies either. Just two people who shared a past and were trying to build different futures. My relationship with my parents slowly improved. Slowly. With boundaries and honesty and the understanding that things would never be what they were. But maybe they could be something better. Something real. 3 years after my brother stole my idea, I stood on a stage at a tech conference. Thousands of people in the audience. I was there to tell my story. To inspire others. To prove that theft doesn't win. That truth matters. That fighting for yourself is worth it. I looked out at the crowd and smiled. 3 years ago, my brother stole my idea and secured $2 million in funding. Today, I want to tell you what happened next. And why you should never give up on something you built, no matter who tries to take it from you.